Jason Kidd dropped an insane quote about Luka Doncic. But is he kinda right?
You can't take this young man for granted. He's better than Dirk. He's in the atmosphere of MJ, the best to ever do it, LeBron, Kobe. And so just to appreciate what this young man's doing at the age of 24 is something that Dallas has never seen. And his ultimate goal is to win a championship, and he will win multiple when it's all said and done.
The same category as MJ and already better than Dirk? J-Kidd literally played against Michael Jordan in his prime and then played with Dirk at the end of his career. He saw these guys play up close and personal. That's classic head coach overhyping, right? But is it that far off? Comparing Luka's career to Dirk's is tough. Dirk played 21 years in the NBA, meaning Dirk's career is only 4 years younger than Luka. So looking at total stats, it's not even close. Dirk's at over 30,000 points, 12 times All-NBA, and has just about every Mavs record out there. But the more you look at it, the closer their resumes become. Luka is in his 6th year. He's already been on the All-NBA first team 4 times, as many as Dirk did in 21 years. Dirk didn't even have one until his 7th year. Now that the NBA's changed how positions work on the All-NBA teams, there is no way that Luka ends his career with less than 8, right? But to be fair, that's ignoring a couple of big points. First of all, Dirk played in an era with a lot of great forwards. It's hard to break first-team All-NBA when you've got Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Chris Webber, Tracy McGrady, Kevin Durant, and LeBron James in the same forward slot. So yeah, Luka having as many first-team All-NBA awards as Dirk is pretty good evidence for Kidd's point, but you have to remember the context. On top of that, Dirk was a bit of a late bloomer. Luka came into the league more ready, especially from a mental state. When Dirk was drafted in 1998, the league didn't have the infrastructure in place to properly develop young players, especially international ones. That's why you see so many busts from that era. Dirk was lucky enough to have a guy like Steve Nash who could help him along. Even so, Dirk wasn't an all-star until his 4th season. By that point, Luka was already cemented as a top 5 guy in the league. With that said, you kinda just have to compare their peaks, right? Obviously, Dirk has had a better overall career, and obviously, Luka has had a better start. But just comparing the two side by side, who's better? Dirk's stats don't do him justice. The pace of the game was far slower back then, and he never really cared about putting up huge stats. But he was a consistent 25 points, 9 boards every single night on insanely efficient shooting. In his MVP year, he cracked 50, 40, 90 on a 67-win team. Luka's fantasy stats blow Dirk's out of the water. For his career, Luka is averaging 28.4 points, almost 2 more points than Dirk averaged in any single season. On top of that, the assists. Luka's one of the best few passers in the game, a truly dominant distributor who's impossible to guard. He can score from anywhere, but has the court vision to keep everyone open at all times. And oh yeah, he's got Dirk's signature shot down. What about Luka's defense? Don't worry, we'll get to that in a minute. He's not as efficient as Dirk was, but this year he's getting close. His 3-point and free throw percentages are both career highs, and he might crack 50% from the floor while dropping 34 points per game as a guard. You can also argue usage percentage. Dirk's was far lower throughout his career, but can you blame Luka? Look at who he's played with. But you could say that Dirk fits more seamlessly into any basketball situation than Luka does, who really needs it his way to succeed. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Dirk's better. Then again, when one Maverick has a title and the other one hasn't even made the finals, can you really call the second one better? Dirk made the finals in 2006, his 8th season in the league. He was outgunned by a young D Wade and followed it up with an embarrassing 2007 first round exit to the We Believe Warriors. But he made up for it in year 13 with a 2011 title. Those Mavericks teams, especially the 2011 one that got the ring, were perfectly crafted around Dirk's strengths. Surround him with defense and shooters, feed him the ball mid-post, and watch the magic. Luka has never had as good of a run as that, but he's never had a team as good as that. Tim Legler settled the debate pretty nicely, and Jerry West was actually saying that since 2020.
All right, let's move on here. Luka Doncic just got paid a very high compliment by one of the game's all-time greats. Here's what Jerry West, yes, the logo, told the Dallas Morning News this weekend about Luka. I've been around a long time, and I've seen a lot of special players. How many superstars are there in the league at any given time? Maybe 5 or 6? There's a difference between all-stars and superstars. A superstar is different, and that's what he is. He'll be the best player Dallas has ever had. I have great respect for Nowitzki, but Dirk is not him.
So if you're just saying he's the best talent in Mavs history, sure. But it's just too early to say he's the best player in franchise history. Do you think Luka will retire the best player who's ever played for the Mavericks? Do you think he's already there? Let us know in the comments. So with that being said, if you're just talking about his talent and not the totality of his career in only year 6, is it crazy to compare him with Michael Jordan? When Jordan was in year 6, he had just as many All-NBA teams as Luka does now. He also made the conference finals twice. If Luka can get his Mavs that far this year, he'd catch up to the GOAT. Luka averages more assists and rebounds, but it's also a different game since the 1980s. Triple-doubles are just way more common. That being said, last December, Luka had the NBA's first ever 25-point first half triple-double, putting him at 9th all-time in triple-doubles with 66 and counting. Jordan is down at 28 for his career, but you can't overstate how insane Jordan's 1989 triple-double season was. 15 in a league where only Magic did things like that. At one point, Jordan had a triple-double in 7 straight games, before Westbrook, Jokic, and yes, Doncic changed how we see the stat. 7 straight triple-doubles was godlike. Of course, Luka does have the greatest triple-double of all time. 60 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists. One of only 2 60-point triple-doubles, and the first with 20 boards. Now this game score is a flawed stat, but that game had the 10th best game score of all time. But according to that same stat, that wasn't even Luka's best game. No, that belongs to his 73-point explosion earlier this year. 4th most points all time, more than Jordan's ever had. Luka's game score of 64 is the 2nd highest of all time, right behind Michael Jordan with 64.6, when he put up 69 points, 18 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals in a narrow win over Cleveland. Luka's scoring numbers are ridiculous, but Jordan's are even better. MJ was putting up 37 points per game in an era with fewer possessions and way tougher defense. This version of the NBA is just really easy to score in. And that's not us saying it, Luka himself did. Most importantly, Luka steps it up in the playoffs. Literally the 2nd highest scoring playoff performer of all time, going from 28 points per game in the regular season to 33 in the playoffs. The only guy with more playoff points per game, Michael Jordan. Luka hasn't won any titles yet, but at this point, neither had MJ. Is it crazy to say he's at least in the same atmosphere?
By every metric, he's the first to get to every plateau at the earliest age. So
yes,
he is on
so
pace
offensively, he's there, but his teams have struggled defensively, and I think a lot of that has to do with his matchup and his ability to play on that end of the floor.
Shaq, why was he looking like that?
Because this is Jason Kidd, Hall of Fame point guard, one of the best to ever do it, saying
Shaq.
he should be in the conversation with MJ and Kobe.
Shaq.
A little too early for that. Great player, done a lot at 24, but the key is consistency. I've seen a lot of guys that played great their first 4 years and you don't hear from them. So,
but have reached every plateau first.
Listen, he came in young. He's playing in a different era. Great player, but I don't think you can start putting him in that category, not yet.
Listen, We heard you. Luka's defense has skyrocketed this year, both in effort and execution. He's ranked as one of the best post defenders in the league, and his defensive rating is the same as Paul George, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler. In his 10 Things article, ESPN's Zach Lowe said that while Luka still has lapses, he's not the turnstile he once was on that end of the floor. Even just watching the games, you can tell he's not just going through the motions on defense, clearly more dedicated to getting his team to the promised land by being good defensively. So saying he doesn't care about that side of the ball might have been extreme, but small improvements does not equate to great defensively. He's still far from the top tier defensive players in the league, while Michael Jordan is a top 3 defensive shooting guard of all time. And at the end of the day, Michael Jordan is on a completely different plane from the rest of NBA history. To get to that peak where Jordan sits with LeBron, Magic, Bird, and a very small list of NBA GOATs, you gotta do a little bit more than Luka has. Maybe Luka just needs his Pippen. After all, like LeBron stans are always telling us, Jordan never won without Scottie Pippen. On paper, Kyrie might be that guy. In flashes, the two ball together, but do they really complement each other? Or is Luka still waiting for that guy? Do you think he can reach MJ's level, or are we wrong? Is he already there? Let us know in the comments, then watch how Shaq was completely wrong in picking this player over Luka. Listen to the Wrong Opinion, Useless NBA Trivia, and Garbage Rankings for more NBA content.